Hi, everyone, and welcome into the KREM 2 Streaming Center here on KREM 2 Plus. I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick here with a weather impact alert live stream on KREM 2 Plus. If you haven't noticed this morning, it has been super cold, and that's weather is going to continue for the rest of this week. And it does get to the point where it is going to kind of impact the flow of our mornings, and certainly hope it doesn't result in any burst pipes in your homes or apartments, but certainly can be very dangerous stuff when it is this cold, especially for this long. So that's why I want to make sure that everybody has the heads up on our first kind of cold weather impact alert day that we've had here. Usually in the wintertime, we usually alert for snowfall and other inclement weather, but this time it's just raw about the cold overall. Now, when we look at cold temperatures, we often lean into the wind chill side of things, and our wind chills can be as low as minus 15 if there is any kind of wind out there. We're talking like a 5-mile-per-hour breeze. But that, when the temperature is around 0 degrees to begin with, makes it feel so cold so quickly. So when the weather looks like this, especially early in the morning hours, usually the big danger is frostbite. That means if you're not wearing gloves and you are outside in those elements, even for an hour or a half an hour, you can start to feel very numb in the fingers very quickly. Now, usually that's not most of us. Usually you want to take a 30-second dash from the front door to your car to warm up, and that is great, but obviously just make sure to respect these weather conditions. Now, the weird thing here is that there's actually not a whole lot of wind that is forecasted. So really we're focused a lot more on just the temperatures outright as opposed to how windy it is, because thankfully for us in this weather event, it's not going to be all that windy. You know that saying where it's like, wouldn't it be so bad without the wind? This is one of those cold weather events where it could be worse with the wind out there, but you definitely know what I mean. Low temperatures this morning, we have, and actually this just updated from the National Weather Service, a low of 0 degrees. So right on the goose egg there in Spokane. I did see this morning on Up with KREM that I got down to -6 in Coeur d'Alene, -3 in Deer Park, and -4 in Republic. Those are just the coldest spots across the inland Northwest, but you see single digits on either side of 0, basically everywhere across our region. So that's how we woke up this morning. That's how it's going to stay for Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and Thursday morning. So we're talking about 4 mornings in a row with temperatures way down into the single digits. Not often I also give viewer reports of temperature readings, but this out of Diamond Lake, someone on my Facebook page very kindly took a picture of their own thermometer outside. -8 in Diamond Lake this morning. So that even colder than all the other official spots that we get with that kind of data. So very useful information, and thank you very much for that report. Again, when it comes to snow, everybody's sending in snow pictures. When it just gets outright that cold, usually you don't even want to go outside, even if it's for a picture or whatnot. So big thank you for that particular report. One thing to note is that our alerts for this winter are called cold weather advisories and extreme cold warnings. This is actually new as of this winter. They are no longer called wind chill advisories or wind chill warnings. So that language has been updated by the National Weather Service, but it is effectively for the same thing. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, where in the summertime we don't have heat index advisories, we just call them heat advisories. So this is kind of that same kind of language. So whether it is just outright cold or it is cold because of the winds and the wind chill factor, yeah, it's all the same at the end of the day, isn't it? Now, all of the northern tier of the U.S. here has some kind of, or some variety of these cold weather alerts, as you see between Montana, North Dakota, and northern Minnesota, a little bit over the inland Northwest as well. At the moment, only Okanagan and Douglas counties in our area have this cold weather advisory, because in that region, the winds do come out through the Okanagan Valley just a little bit more strong and stiffly through that particular valley. So that is northerly winds a little stronger, meaning that the wind chills can be a bit colder overall. So in this case, we are looking at wind chills down to -15 for Tuesday morning, as at the moment that is the only advisory for the inland Northwest. Otherwise, it's all over into Montana as well. Again, the wind, not really a big factor here, and it might be a limiting factor in terms of how many of these advisories end up getting issued. If we do see advisories issued, we'll know via the National Weather Service between about 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon when they give us their next 12-hour update, which is very typical from them. So make sure to tune in to KREM 2 News at 4 with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legault. He'll have, of course, the latest on any more advisories that get issued. But at the moment, it is just Okanagan and Douglas County. Obviously, everywhere is going to be cold one way or another. So we are talking about cold weather for this week. As you would, as I've been kind of highlighting here, Monday through Thursday, each of these 4 mornings, we will see these low temperatures near zero, with today as a great example of it being at 0 degrees. Of course, dress warm. I'm usually not one that likes to handhold when it comes to how to dress yourself or the kids. You certainly should know how to do that on your own. Well, let me put it this way. I was like second heaviest jacket in the closet. I think I only didn't wear a scarf on my way to work. That's when it starts to get minus 20, minus 30, minus 40, and you need literally everything. We're shy of that, but it's still more than cold outside, obviously. So just make sure to take care of yourself, stay warm, stay comfortable, especially when on your drive. Make sure to give yourself some time to defrost and warm up the car and whatnot. So the factors that lead to this cold weather, one, we just have the Arctic air that's in place, bit of this trough just dipping through the northern U.S. Again, this looks like it's in the same spot as all those cold weather advisories and extreme cold warnings through Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, and northern Minnesota, all just kind of under the effects of that Arctic air that is starting to push in. But the other big factor of how it gets this cold is what's called radiational cooling. Basically, the Earth is radiating heat away from the ground at every hour of every day, winter, summer, all time. It's like our bodies radiate heat away at all times. But it's unbalanced when we get a weather conditions that line up like this. Because at night, yes, we radiate heat away from the ground, but there's nothing to put any heat back into the ground. There's no sunshine. There's not even any cloud cover overhead. So basically that heat just escapes straight into space. Temperatures just drop and drop and drop all night until we get to sunrise, and then we'll start warming up from there. So when we get these kind of weather conditions, it is just unbalanced. Clear skies, light winds, and that Arctic air and that trough overhead just are all playing factors into this. In fact, there's another factor, another bonus factor, if you will. We've got fresh snow on the ground, and that more limits the heat acquired during the day because it would reflect some of that sunlight back. But it keeps it a little colder during the day, and then it just free falls at night. It's like the trap door opens up from beneath our feet. And in this case, that's the temperatures that just bottom out as low as they can go. So here's what it's likely going to look like for Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning. You see single-digit temperatures after 1 a.m., 2 o'clock in the morning, bottoming out right at about 7 a.m., which happens to be sunrise. Sunrise this morning, 7:03 in Spokane. So that's where we bottom out, right at sunrise. Now, our model here has it at 3 for that specific time, but at any moment, it could actually just get a little bit colder than that. And that's why when you see the low temperature map, it usually will just shave off a couple more degrees just to try to find where that low temperature, that actual bottom, is going to fall. I have 1 in Spokane for tomorrow morning, -3 in Coeur d'Alene, -1 in Deer Park, -1 as well in Republic. This all looks very standard for some of our coldest weather that we typically get in the winter time. Usually 0 is kind of right around that baseline of our average coldest day of the winter. Now, last year in January, we got to -10, which is exceptionally cold. But this is going to be probably some of the coldest weather we have through the entire winter time. And it's really any of these 4 days could do it between this morning, tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, and yes, you see Thursday morning as well. As for Valentine's Day itself, just to move myself out of the way, looks like those temperatures do moderate. It does look like there will be a possibility of some snowfall or precipitation on that particular day that helps to lead us out of the coldest of weather. But that does mean that any snow that will be happening on Friday would stick right away. A little bit early to really tell exactly what's going to happen with our next snowfall event for that Friday. But just realize that it is on my radar. We are looking at some messy weather by Friday and the upcoming weekend. But those details will be more known when we get closer towards this weekend. So very much first things first, which in this case is, of course, the cold weather. So going to wrap things up pretty quickly here because there's only so many different ways that we can say it's going to be cold outside. outside. But make sure that you are bundling up and that you are going to stay safe and healthy during this likely coldest stretch of this entire winter, which will happen during this week of February. The low was 0 this morning, and I'm forecasting 1, and 3 degrees for the next 3 mornings in a row. So make sure to stay safe during this weather impact alert stretch between this morning and then Thursday morning. That'll do it for this exclusive KREM 2 Plus live stream. You can always follow me on social media at Thomas Patrick WX, as you see on the social media icons on the bottom of your screen there. I will see you tomorrow morning on Up with KREM to get you ready for the day. But for the latest, you can always find the latest information over at krem.com. Have a great day, everyone.